Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Shodhana Kana Prakana Kana Yashodhananda Gajdana Rindana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram 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 Hare Hare Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Okay, nice to see all of you here. We have a very nice katha going on in Srimad Bhagavatam today. So we can directly jump into the topic today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Pravanand Madhav Shri Chaitaneshwaram. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let me share my screen. We are in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam on the creation of the fourth order. And so far, what we have seen is we have seen the genealogical table of the daughters of Swambhu Manu. So we saw all the daughters of Swambhu Manu, who were they married to, what is their family lineage looking like. And while Maitreya Muni was telling the story, he told one of the daughters, who was Sati, did not have a child. And then obviously the curious question that Vidura had was, oh, why was Sati not having a child? Oh, because she actually left her body. Oh, why did she leave her body? Oh, she was married to Lord Shiva, such a wonderful personality. How did or why did she leave the body? Then in the second chapter, we actually saw why Daksha and Lord Shiva had a disagreement, and Daksha actually cursed Lord Shiva, and it just further expanded, right? So how there was so much of discomfort between the two personalities. Daksha was the son of Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva is also the son of Lord Brahma. And the background story is the, the Lord Brahma asked Daksha to marry off Sati to Lord Shiva. Daksha himself personally was never happy about this. He was not convinced that Lord Shiva is the right husband for my wonderful and delicate daughter. He tells, my daughter is so nice, so wonderful, and all that. And here, Lord Shiva, who, according to him, right, the way he actually explains is that the Lord Shiva stays in crematorium, stays under trees. His party is all the ghosts and the hobgoblins. And such a person, how will he able to take care of my daughter? But because it was told by his father, Lord Brahma, who is also the authority, he did not go against authority but gave off his daughter in marriage. That was not the problem. The problem was when the story continued and Daksha had this sacrifice, yagna, that he had arranged, and all the personalities were there when Daksha entered, because he was a very wonderful personality. When he entered, everyone stood up and gave respect to Daksha. Only there did not get. He had his reasons. We'll come down to Lord Shiva's reasons in a bit today. But Daksha did not like this. And in front of all the people assembled for the yajna, he actually spoke ill words about Daksha. That caused the parties have separated, they have cursed each other. That is all done. So let's see what's there in today's chapter. Today's chapter is chapter 3. These are talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Though it's a wonderful story form, there are a few wonderful lessons from which we can actually learn how a typical husband and wife relationship is. The wonderful purpose by Srila Prabhupada that actually speaks on some of the qualities that we need to develop, especially the quality of humility, and something that we should not have. That's all about pride and ego and enviousness. We'll talk about these in a bit as we look through Srila Prabhupada's purpose today. Okay, here is a summary I'm just sharing from Bhagavad Shubhodhini. So this chapter is very small. We'll try to finish off the entire chapter today, about 25 shlokas. And it starts with Daksha. So in the previous shloka, you would have seen, chapter, you would have seen that Daksha then continued and he performed a 1,000-year sacrifice in the sacrifice arena that was meant for the sacrifice. So that went on for 1,000 years. And after that, Lord Shiva and Daksha never met each other. Sati Devi never went and met her family. So now Daksha plans to do another sacrifice, another yagna. But the tension between Daksha and Lord Shiva continues. And Daksha, why is Daksha not respecting Lord Shiva is because of his position that he's got. What is the position? He is the chief of all the Prajapati. Daksha means an expert, expert in progeniting. So of all the progenitors, he is the chief, appointed by Lord Brahma. So he's pretty proud of his position. So we'll talk a little bit of that as we go along. Okay. So he has invited everyone, all the demigods, all the wonderful personalities, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, all the chief of demigods like Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, everyone. But he is not invited Lord Shiva. When Sati Devi actually sees all of them going to this particular festival or function, Sati Devi goes to Lord Shiva and gives a set of her reasons as to why she should go and why he should accompany her for her to actually go there. That's going to be the crux of today's discussion. Why or how Sati Devi tries to convince Lord Shiva that he and she have to attend the function. And then Lord Shiva gives out his reasons as to why they should not go for this sacrifice. We'll go into the details of these particular shlokas in the purports today. So it's pretty much in a story form. So we'll pick up whatever we can and we will continue. Okay, what happens after this? The Sati go to the function. What happens post that? I think we all know that overall story. We'll probably take the details today and in the upcoming discussion. So Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order talks between Lord Shiva and Sati Devi. Maitreya sada Vishatorevam kalo vai driyamanayoho jamatuhu swasu raspayapi sumahan atichakrame. Translations and purports by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Maitreya continued, in this manner, the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law, Daksha and Lord Shiva, continued for a considerably long period. Purport, the previous chapter has already explained that Vidura questioned the sage Maitreya as to the cause of the misunderstanding between Lord Shiva and Daksha. Another question is why this strife between Daksha and his son-in-law caused Sati to destroy her body. The chief reason for Sati's giving up her body was that her father Daksha began another sacrificial performance to which Lord Shiva was not invited at all. Generally, when any sacrifice is performed, although each and every sacrifice is intended to pacify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, all the demigods, especially Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and the other principal demigods such as Indra and Chandra are invited and they take part. It is said that unless all the demigods are present, no sacrifice is complete. But in the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law, Daksha began another yajna performance to which Lord Shiva was not invited. Daksha was the chief progenitor employed by Lord Brahma and he was a son of Brahma. So he had a high position and was also very proud. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakaanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. Like we said, we already have the background, the context of the story cleared out. So we can see there is a very nice piece in the purport that says that generally when sacrifice is performed, it is intended for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, right? Yagna Purusha is always Lord Vishnu. But all the demigods, especially Brahma and Lord Shiva and other principal demigods such as Indra and Chandra are invited so that the yagna is successful. Okay, unless the demigods are also present, no sacrifice is complete. So if you see, even today when we do yagnas, even in Krishna consciousness, when we have Narsimha yagna and other homas that happen, there is invitation to the demigods. And when they all attend, the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu, are pretty happy about it. Okay, so what did Daksha do? So anyways, Daksha did not invite Lord Shiva. Why was that? Because when Lord Brahma appointed Daksha the chief of the Prajapatis, the progenitor of population, Daksha became very much puffed up. Okay, when a man becomes proud of his material possessions, he can perform any disastrous act. Okay, so Daksha acted out of false prestige. Daksha's position of a Prajapati was given by Lord Brahma, right? And Lord Brahma himself respects Lord Shiva. So in this case, Daksha being proud of his position had two aspects, which is what we will see. One, he is proud that he has a certain position in the system, right? So everyone respects Daksha. And what happens is Lord Shiva, even though he is contemporary, if you can say, of Daksha, that means he is also son of Brahma. And according to Daksha, he is a lesser in position because he is his son-in-law. Usually, father-in-law is more respected by the son-in-law, not the other way, even though there's full respect for the position of son-in-law. But here, Daksha considers Lord Shiva to be someone who has to respect him. But Lord Shiva, being one of the guna avatars of the Lord, he is in a very elevated position. What this causes, everyone is respecting me, but this person is not respecting me. That created what we call as enviousness. This inimical attitude that Daksha had towards Lord Shiva was the reason why he did not want to respect Lord Shiva. He did not want Lord Shiva's presence everywhere. Okay. So one, Daksha himself is very proud of his position. Two, he does not respect Lord Shiva's position. Both of these causes a lot more disproportionate respect to each other. So what did Daksha do? Daksha began a sacrifice named Vajapeya, and he became excessively confident of his support by Lord Brahma. He then performed another great sacrifice named Brihaspati Shava. So there are descriptions in the scriptures on what these two yagnas are meant. These are again long yagnas wherein the material positions of a person actually increases, okay, as they are the outputs of these yagnas. Okay, I'll not go into the details of these. Okay, anyways, the demigods are eligible to participate in the yagnas and share the oblations. But if you remember in the previous chapter, Daksha cursed Lord Shiva that he will not get any, he will not be eligible to take any share from the sacrifices that are made in the yagna. Okay, that's already done. Okay, all sacrifices are intended to pacify Lord Vishnu, but Lord Vishnu includes all his devotees. Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods are all obedient servants of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Lord Shiva is never satisfied without them. One very important lesson that we can learn in this connection is the amount of respect that we have to give towards all the other personalities or demigods. Sometimes in Krishna consciousness, we take demigods very lightly, or we do not respect the demigods. Very recently, also, we had this Ganesh Puja, and not the way the public does Ganesh Puja on the roads, right? So that's not what we are saying. But the respect itself is there within all of us, right? So all our senior acharyas, we see that they glorify the position of Lord Ganeshji as a wonderful servant of Lord Vishnu or Narsimadev, right? So all these personalities have this position because they are serving or they're obedient servants of Lord Vishnu, like Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport. So we should always respect the demigods. There should not be any amount of disrespect. Because I'm worshipping Krishna, I don't need to respect the demigods. No, we should never be proud of that position. Never think that I am a wonderful devotee of Krishna. That means I don't need to respect these personalities. No, the more we respect, the higher the Lord is happier. That means I don't go to them out of respect and ask something from them. What generally happens, demigod worship, people go to them and say, Dhanam Dehi, Vidya Dehi, give me this, give me that, you know, give me a nice wife, give me a promotion at office. No, we don't go to them for that. We tell them you are such wonderful servants of the Lord. If possible, can you also please engage me in the service of the Lord? Let me never deviate from the service of the Lord. This is the kind of prayers we should always have. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that he is the Yajna Purusha. right? So he is Bhuktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvalokameshwaram. The Bhukta is the Bhukta of all the Yajnas and Tapas, right? So everything that is done as a sacrifice in the Yajna and any Tapas, he is the Bhukta, or he is the receiver of all the benedictions or benefits of it, and he is the one who gives the benedictions out of it. And this next statement is also very wonderful. Lord Krishna says, Mad Bhakta Pujaya Dikaha. Okay, Pujaya. So my Bhakta is worshipable. The worship of my devotee is better than worship of me. Similarly, in Shopurana, it is stated the best mode of worship is to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu. But better than that is to worship the devotees of Krishna. Lord Shiva himself is telling Mother Parvati that Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Of all the Aradhanas, of all the worships, Vishnu Aradhana Param. Vishnu, worshipping Lord Vishnu is the Paramam, or the Supreme. But better than that is worship of his devotees. Right? So all these personalities, including Lord Shiva, are wonderfully worshipping Krishna. So when we respect them, then Krishna is more happy. This is the point that Daksha also missed. While the sacrifice was being performed, many Brahma rishis, great sages, ancestral demigods, and other demigods, their wives, all very nicely decorated with ornaments, attended from different parts of the universe. So they are all in the higher planetary systems. They are not on the earthly planet systems. And so Sati Devi is seeing all of them going around. We will see that in a bit. Okay, it is auspicious. So we'll see a little bit of husband and wife. So here it says that all these personalities with their wives, very nicely decorated with ornaments. Right. So it is auspicious for married women to decorate themselves very nicely with ornaments, fine clothing, and cosmetics. These are auspicious signs. So we see for any of these functions, right? So for marriages or any festivals, functions, very nicely decorated and come. Okay. So it was one time sannyasi was giving a class to the public, and he was telling how we should not be bodily conscious, right? So that is what our entire system of education is, right? So I don't need to care too much for my body. I need to take care of my body as much as required for me to do my Krishna consciousness very nicely. So he was giving a class. He told them that, yeah, we should not be overly looking at our body, all these beauty parlors and this branded clothing and all this increases my bodily designation. It just tells me my body is very important. I am important, right? So that kind of a thing comes up. So he finished off the class, and uh, the students all went away. A few days later, there was a big festival in the temple. So the students all said, okay, I mean, I don't need to care for my body. It is what is my bhav that the Lord looks at. So I will come, but I will wear normal shabby clothes. Just come. And when they come, they see that the sannyasi is very wonderfully dressed, fresh, neatly pressed clothes. He's looking very bright and effulgent and all that. So they are like, "Arey, just now in few couple of days back, he told in the class that the body is not very important, but today he's given so much importance to the body." And they came there, and slowly someone dared to ask that question, saying that, Maharaj, how come you are so grandly dressed today? Such wonderful garland you have, nice dress you have. So he replied back, yes, it is very important that I come in my best attire when I'm coming in front of the Lord, telling him that, hey, my Lord, I am so happy and coming here and showing you that I have these things for your service. All this is something that I have to showcase to you. And this creates auspiciousness in whatever we possess. So many times you would have heard in classes saying that when you buy something, whatever it could be a small toy, it could be a new mobile phone, or it could be a big house. First thing you do is go and show it to the Lord. You offer it to the Lord in a way saying that, let me please use this in your service, my dear Lord. Okay. And that actually creates auspiciousness. But anyways, in this particular connection, we know that it's pretty common that for any function, we all decorate ourselves very nicely, especially the women, Matajis. They like to wear wonderful clothes, matching earrings and jewelry, and what and what not. Many times they plan together, and this is by nature, and it is very nice also. Okay, it especially mentioned in this verse that they approached with their husbands. For when a woman is decorated nicely, her husband becomes more cheerful. And this is also very nicely mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, saying that a woman decorates herself very nicely and her husband becomes more cheerful. Again, in Krishna consciousness, sometimes we become very cold. Right? We don't give that respect. So Matajis like to dress up very nicely, and it is the responsibility of the husband to tell you look very nice, because they seek that kind of attention, or they seek that kind of stamp. And saying this makes it very very easy. Hey, your dress is looking very nice today. Hey, you put in a new earring. This one looks nice. The moment you tell this, they become happy, and when they become happy, the rest of the day becomes very cheerful for both of them. Okay, and it is not attraction, lust, and all that. It is simple. That's why you're husband and wife. So you don't need to be cold. And this is a very simple lesson that I see lot of senior Vaishnavas following, married for a long time, and it's not very difficult for us to follow as well. Right. So let's continue. Anyways, Sati Devi, seeing all this, the chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the sky, conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, their eyes very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice, dressed in fine clothing and ornaments with earrings and necklaces, with lockets, she approached her husband, the master of the Bhutas, in great anxiety and spoke as follows. When everyone is going around, the new shopping mall is open and everyone is going, there's anxiety. Can I also go? Am I missing out? The FOMO that we talk, the feeling of missing out. So Sati Devi is actually going through this. Okay, in the shloka, you will see that there's a set of shlokas, right? So in this particular piece, you see that Sati Devi is mentioned as Dakshayani. Dakshayani is a very common name that we often hear. Dakshayani means she's the daughter of Daksha. What is the significance of this word? Here, she's going to talk to her husband, Lord Shiva, who is not very comfortable with the topic of Daksha, but she's representing herself not as Lord Shiva's wife, but as Daksha's daughter. Because the entire topic is going to be my father. My father's sacrifice is happening. My father is not invited you, but as a daughter, is it not my responsibility to go on? So her point of view is going to be as the daughter of Daksha here. That's why it is specifically mentioned. Each woman was accompanied by her husband, and the details are mentioned. Thus, they looked so beautiful that Sati Dakshayani was impelled to dress similarly and go to the sacrifice with her husband. This is a natural inclination of a woman to dress up very nicely, go out for festivals and functions. That is a natural inclination for women. It's by design. And by design, men are couch potatoes. Men very rarely want to attend function. They want to look at excuses of why I should not be in a certain function. They said, it is usually said, right? There are two kind of people who attend function. One who like to attend the function and stay till the end, and the other who attend the function very ritualistically, saying that अरे मुझे सिर्फ मुंह दिखा के वापस आना. I just want to go there, show my face and come back. And the best part is these two are usually married to each other, right? So the women like to stay, like to continue, like to be with people, talk about various things. Arey, this saree looks good. Where did you buy this? This decoration is nice. That is nice. This is nice. And the husband is like, मैं यहाँ पे क्यों आया? Right? So it is by nature, and that is why we are in this incompatible position put together so that we are single focus towards the Lord, and whatever is best for the Lord, we will do it. That's why when we do these festivals and functions in the temple, the best part is we are engaged in service. So there's no choice, but we stay till the end. The way we should look at it is, Janmashtami, I was seeing so many wonderful, festivals that happened all across Bangalore from Sri Jagannath Mandir, right? So, and all the organizers, all the husbands and the wives who were trying to organize, they were the last set of people to actually wrap up. They were the first to enter, last to go. And that's where Krishna consciousness makes life so easy and so simple. Saying that if because we are focused on Lord Krishna, or Lord Krishna is the center of our life goes on very smoothly. Okay. That as long as it's going on smoothly, if it's not going on smoothly, figure out why it is not. Anyways, we'll continue here. Sati said, "My dear Lord Shiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods having been invited are going there. If you so desire, we may also go." Okay. So Sati Devi is putting her point so nicely. She's saying that, uh, as you know, the sacrifice is happening. Everyone is flying. We can see all the planes going around, people going around dressed up so nicely. If you so desire, we may also go. Okay. She puts forward her desire, but calls out this statement. So we have discussed this in the past. Whenever we go to the Lord, we usually say, "My dear Lord, if you so desire, let this happen. I have this desire." That's how we start, right? So I have this desire, but I don't want to tell that. I want to tell that, "My Lord, if you so desire." That's a nice way to ask. Very, very nice and humble way to ask. So she also desired to go, but she could not express her willingness directly. And so she told her husband that if he desired to go, then she could also accompany him. In other words, she submitted her desire very politely to her husband. Okay. A nice way to ask, a right way to ask is that whatever you desire, let's do it together. That's how this context is. Let's see more details of this. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. Now the second part, what is it? First part was if you so desire. Second part, I also desire. What is my desire? My desire is to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father. Anyway, so Sati Devi has put forward her desire in the first place. Then the second part is the ornaments. Why it is specifically mentioned here is because in the previous chapter, in the words used by Daksha, he told, "Arey, this person, Lord Shiva, has no possessions." Right? So here Srila Prabhupada actually talks a little bit of dowry, how it is important because the women like to decorate themselves nicely. The father, knowing the situation of the husband of that girl, the son-in-law, he actually gives in dowry everything that is required for his daughter to be fully comfortable in that position. That's also mentioned. Anyways, here she's saying that, "Arey, I have so many things given my father, and my father is doing that ceremony, and my sisters and others are also very nicely going there, decorated themselves. I would also like to decorate myself and go there." Right? So she puts forward her desire. First your desire, then my desire. There is a therefore in Sanskrit the word for women is three, which means one who expands the field of material enjoyment. In the material world, there is an attraction between women and men. There is an arrangement. This is the arrangement of conditional life. A woman attracts a man, and in that way, the scope of material activities involving house, wealth, children, and friendship increases. And thus, instead of decreasing one's material demands, one becomes entangled in material enjoyment. So, a woman becomes a very important source, of your material enjoyment. Also, it becomes one of the reasons for increasing the attachment towards material life. Right. So we know about this sage story, right? So a sage was under a tree, meditating every day, and there used to be a rat that would come and disturb the sage. It would bite of something that the sage has got, you can't disturb, it would make noises. The sage was getting a lot disturbed. And so he looked around. What is the best way to avoid the rat? And he realized that the best way to avoid the rat was to get a cat. So he got a cat. The moment the cat was there, the rat stopped disturbing him. But the cat had to be fed. So he had to get milk for the cat every day. So it was becoming increasingly difficult because he was not able to go and get enough content for himself and for the cat by begging. So someone actually came to him, offered him something, saying, "What do you need?" And he said that, "Can I have a cow that's got enough milk so that my cat is fed and I'm also fed?" So he gets a cow. Now to take care of the cow, he had a cow shed, but he was his work was not having his tapas was not going on enough because he was getting deviated. So someone suggested him, why don't you get married? There will be a girl who will actually take care of the cow. She will take care of your house, the cow shed, and also a hut next to it. She will also feed the cat. She will also feed you, so that your work will continue. Your tapas will continue. So in this way, he got married. Now married, the girl came. The girl was doing very nicely. She was taking care of the cow, the house, the cat. She also had her demands, and he had to take care of her. For this, he left his sannyas dress. He took up a grahastha dress, and suddenly he realized what was the whole problem. He had children, the story goes on, but I'll not go into that because he had to earn money. He had to take care of his children, his wife. They wanted a bigger house. In modern day in Bangalore, you want a vehicle, and you have the traffic problem and everything, right? So that his problems increased, and then he realized what was my base problem. Problem was there was a small rat that was disturbing me when I was doing something. If I had ignored that rat, I wouldn't have got into this entanglement. Why? So on a lighter note, this story actually makes sense, right? So many times we get entangled, and every time we think this will solve, it just keeps increasing. It just keeps going on. So it doesn't decrease your material demands. Does it mean that we should not get married? No, that's not the intention of the story. It just is that that's how the world is designed. That's how the world is designed, right? So when a woman or a Sri in this case has her demands, it's also by nature, it's by design. And when you get into that kind of a relationship, you need to have that clarity in mind that it's happening. So many times, the youth boys who are about to get married have a lot of conditions. We sometimes discuss saying that, Prabhu, mujhe ye nahi chahiye, Prabhu, I don't want to do this, I don't want to work for more than 8 hours. Getting married, there is a checklist on the other side as well. Be prepared for it. Many of them here in this group are Grihasthas, much more senior, much more knowledgeable than me. So I don't need to go on to this, go on further. But the society that Srila Prabhupada has created, the way we are all working under the shelter of Guru and Gauranga, is that we can have a wonderful Krishna conscious life, which is fully non-conditioned life, being in the Grihastha ashram. And both Prabhujis and Matajis can progress together and become very, very nice in serving the Lord. Okay. So we don't need to be too worried about it, provided our goal is the same. If our goals are not the same, we need to understand how to balance our life. That's a different topic. Someday we'll discuss about it. Anyway, here she specifically indicated that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. She did not say that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her husband, because her husband was callous about such matters. Callous, this word is, and as he was not interested. He was, careless. You can say he was not giving any importance to it. So she said that, okay, my father has already given me, let me take it up. He did not know how to decorate his wife and take part in social life because he was always in ecstasy with thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the position of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, because he was so single focused, on the Lord, on serving the Lord, on the thoughts of the Lord, he was always in ecstasy. These things that are so materialistic in nature, did not even bother him. So he was careless about it. If she had worn a nice dress, not worn a nice dress, he wouldn't probably even look at it or give enough respect according to this context, right? So Lord Shiva is obviously a wonderful personality. We all know that, but he doesn't. He's not too serious about taking part in any social life, right? So many times when we call Lord Shiva Ashutosha, very easily pleased when someone quickly, because he wants to get away from you. He like इसको दे दो इसको जाने दो, because he's not come to me asking for the Supreme Lord, asking for Krishna, Vishnu, or Shankarshna. Let him just go away, whatever he wants, let him take. And also he becomes very, very easily pleased when you go to him and tell him that somehow or other make me a Krishna conscious devotee. Lord Shiva is extremely happy. Whenever we go to the Dham, there are Lord Shiva temples. No, Lord Shiva likes to stay there. It could be the Gopeshwar Mahadev, Nandeshwar Mahadev, Chakleshwar Mahadev. So your veg is filled with Lord Shiva. Even when you go to Navadvip Dham, there are Lord Shiva temples. There you go, and you are such a wonderful Vaishnava. Vaishnava Namyata Shambhu, you're such a wonderful Vaishnava. Somehow or other, please engage me in the service of the Lord, service of Gauranga, service of Guru. Right? So when you ask, Lord Shiva becomes extremely pleased, because he's always in that thought. And someone who is in that sync, he becomes extremely happy. Srila Prabhupada further says that, how Lord Shiva did not use of this dowry amount and do ganja and other stuff that some people who say that they follow Lord Shiva do all this, right? So they don't understand the position of such a super personality. And the mother's sisters and their husbands and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flagging flags and the performance of sacrifice by great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I'm very much anxious to go. So she's increasing her degree of request. First, if you so please, I also have this desire. Now I am very much anxious to go. Okay, there's not much of a response from Lord Shiva, so her curiosity is increasing, and she's putting forward her reasons, right? So she's saying, okay, my sisters, my mother's sisters, their husbands, all of them are there. So can I also go? I am very much anxious. But one part that is there is also that, can you also come with me, right? So far she's been saying, if you so desire, can we go? I also desire that we go. I decorated very nicely. Here also she's like, my dear husband, I'm very much anxious to go, but she does not want to go alone. She's requesting her husband to also accompany. That's why she's mentioning in many places that my sisters and their husbands, because she wants to bring forward the point that we should go together. Okay, this is a very nice look. This manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interaction of the three material modes, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. This truth is fully known to you. Yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. So here she says, I wish to see. I would like to go, but I wish to see. So she's saying that it's like saying that मुझे हिंदी नहीं आता, right? When we say मुझे हिंदी नहीं आता, I'm telling this in Hindi, right? So similarly, here she's saying that I know this is all the three modes of nature that is causing it. This creation is, it is very materialistic, and everything is an external energy of the Lord. She herself being a partial expansion, right? So, but and you, Lord Shiva, you know all these things. You're fully conversant with this truth, but I am not. So I don't know all this. I just know that he is my father. He is doing a sacrifice. All my relatives and friends are going. I wish to go there, right? So that's how she's actually putting forward this truth. Lord Shiva knows the truth, right? So, anyways, there is this Sanskrit phrase that says Janani Janma Bhumi Ishta Swarga Pigariyasi, right? So people say that Janani, my mother, and Janma Bhumi, the place of my birth, is very, very important to me. It's even important than the Swarga. My general conversations, right? So similarly, one who has attraction for his birthplace, for his body, and other such items mentioned in Bhagavatam is considered to be like an ass or a cow. We should know the position of this spiritual world, the material world, what is required for us. If you think the place I am born in, the house I'm staying, these are very, very important. When I'm asked to go away, 20 years of this house, I've stayed here, I'm not able to get out of this place. 20 years of this company I've managed, I'm not ready to give it up. Then 50 years, 60 years of this body, how will you be able to give it up? You become most attracted to your body, and then you're called the cow and the asses, right? So you are basically stuck in this material world, right? So if you can't give up, so devotees have problems of giving up a few things because they have been following it for a long time, right? So it could be attraction to maybe the cricket scores, maybe to the business that they're doing, maybe some food items that they eat. There was a very senior devotee I was talking to, and this person said, "It took me 20 years to give up, the Krishna sweets, Mysore pa, whatever it is, right?" So because I was so interested or attracted towards it, I would go there, buy it, offer it, and eat it, even after staying in Krishna consciousness for 15 years, 20 years. Very senior person. He said, "It took me 20 years to give that up." Like that, some of these attractions take a really long time to give up. Okay, this word Yosit is used very nicely. Yosit is basically a woman, meaning someone who actually increases your material enjoyment, or one who is enjoyed, right? So in spiritual advancement, association with Yosit is always restricted, because if one is like a play doll in the hands of Yosit, then all his spiritual advancement is at once stopped. So we know the story of Ajamila, right? So the moment he gets association of a woman, his spiritual life actually stops. And this can happen to any of us, right? So we should know what is that right balance. It is said, those who are like playthings in the hands of a woman, those is Krida Murgeshu, Krida, the plaything, cannot make any advancement in spiritual realization. So in the Bhagavad Gita itself, we actually see this particular distinction between affection and attraction. Sorry, did I just jump? This word between affection and attraction. Where is the line that we need to draw? We should be very affectionate towards everyone. When I say everyone, it includes our family, right? That affection should be shown as an extension for our Krishna consciousness. That means we want to give them Krishna. The same thing for Matajis. They want to show their love for Krishna by serving their husbands very nicely, right? So I cook the best of which for the pleasure of the Lord, and that when I offer it to my husband, he also is happy. Not the other way around, usually. As we progress, we need to know how to balance this. Our responsibilities, we don't give up. Our affection, we don't give up. The attraction, where I become subservient to the material desire, the senses, because of this affection, that has to be given up. Otherwise, we just become playthings. Okay, it's for both of them. It could be for men or for the women. And modern day, it's in the modern society that we see, it's very difficult to even give the distinction between what women wants and what man wants. I mean, there's so much of overlap. Anyways, moving on. Oh, never born a blue throat one. Not only my relatives, but also other women dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how they flock. The flocks of white airplanes have made the entire sky very beautiful. She's calling him a Bluetooth one, because when Nilakanta, Lord Shiva, actually drinks this poison, right, the poison, he actually showing mercy towards the entire population, saying that if this comes out, all these people are going to get killed or being going to get affected. So he drinks and holds it right in his throat. So she's saying that you showed mercy towards everyone. Can you show that mercy towards me as well? Okay. So we'll shortly go on to Lord Shiva's reply, right? So we have another 25 minutes. Oh, best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in a father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. Unlike modern day, olden days, I've seen relatives would just go to someone's place and they'll be welcomed, very nicely treated. When we say the Atithi word, Aditi just means that there's no Tithi for them to come. There's no right auspicious time for them to come. They can come at any time. And Aditi is taken care of very nicely, right? So that was by culture. And she's saying that, I know you don't have the invitation, but look at it that we don't need an invitation to go. Okay. If one goes to a friend's house or a husband's house, a spiritual master, father's house without invitation, there's no harm in it. So she's put forward a request and saying, "Oh, immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as as half of your body. Please show your kindness towards me and accept my request." So she started very nicely saying that if you so desire, let's go. She ends off her conversation by saying that please show me mercy, be kind towards me, and fulfill my desire, because my desire is to dress up very nicely and go to my father's place for that festival. Okay. And she has put forward a sequence of arguments why she should be going and why it is not wrong for her to go. So the great sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of the king Kailasha, hill Kailasha, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs. So Daksha had used very unparliamentary words towards Lord Shiva, right? In the previous chapter, we have seen how he had actually spoken so ill of Lord Shiva. And these are pretty hard. The words affect a lot, right? So Lord Shiva has been insulted in that way. And Sati also knows it. And Lord Shiva, even though he remembers these things, it doesn't bother much. Very smilingly replies because his wife is put forward her request and she responds back to it. Okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that liberated person, a dhira, is always in mental equilibrium in both distress and happiness. Therefore, the question may be raised why a liberated personality like Lord Shiva was unhappy because of the words of Daksha. Anyway, so here we are saying that Lord Shiva was not disturbed, but even if you think he was unhappy, the answer is given by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Lord Shiva is Atma Rama, or situated in complete realization. But because he's in the incarnation of the modes of material nature, ignorance, tamoguna, he's sometimes affected by the pleasure and pain of this material world. So so dhira is something sometimes very commonly used with Lord Shiva. Right, so he's not disturbed by the good and bad, shitoshna, sukha, dukkha. The sukha and dukkha doesn't affect him. In this case, it says that because he's also having some connection with this material modes of nature, right? So he's actually in charge of it. He's not in tamoguna, but sometimes he's affected by this modes of pleasure and pain, according to Shila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We will see how Lord Shiva responds. The great Lord replied, "My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to the friend's house without being invited. And this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification, thereby becomes angry towards him." Okay, so Lord Shiva says, yes, you could have gone. There was nothing wrong in going to Daksha's place, but what did Daksha do? He actually found fault in the way I look from my bodily perspective. He said, "Oh, this person stays in crematorium. His body is filled with ashes. My delicate daughter is married to him. Who will be able to take care such a person who is surrounded by, ghosts and hobgoblins wearing the skull garland?" So that's what are the words. Some of the words that Daksha used. So he was identifying with body, and such a person who became angry at me, he is not someone who is going to welcome you. And he could foresee that Sati, as soon as Sati reached her father's house, Daksha being too puffed up of bodily identification, would be angry at her presence. Okay, the Daksha's pride we have already discussed, right? So he'll become, because of his bodily identification, he's going to show anger towards his own daughter, and that is not going to be very nice for her, right? So this will be intolerable for her. Therefore, it's better that she does not go. So you saw the sequence of requests that Sati had placed. Similarly, how Lord Shiva responds back to each of this, right? So he's saying that it's better that you do not go. It's not going to be very tolerable for you. You're not going to like it. all those six. So this is a very, very important shloka. Vidya tapo vitta vapur vaya kulaihi. Okay. Although the six qualities of education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for highly elevated, one is proud of possessing them, becomes blind, and loses, thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. Right. So we all know the importance of these qualities, right? So education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and family lineage or the heritage. Okay, so we have a similar shloka in the first canto of Bhagavatam where Kunti Devi says that the beauty or the education, the wealth that one possesses, and the knowledge one possesses, these are actually, uh, uh, if they are not used in the service of the earth, they are actually, they pull us down from our spiritual progress. Similarly here, right? So a person who has got these qualities, if you look at Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, it actually mentions that the best of having wonderful qualities is what? It starts with I being humble about these qualities. Then my spiritual life starts. Okay. The humility that one develops is very important quality when for spiritual progress. So whatever are your qualities, what is your education or your wealth or the beauty or whatever you possess, when they are when you're humble, they can be rightly used, they can be rightly placed. And when they are not, when you're not humble, when you become proud of these things, then you become distant from the Lord. Okay, because pride is the most difficult thing to give up. You can give up anything else, but being proud is very difficult to give up. It's so difficult that as soon as you take that pride and throw it out from you, immediately you become proud that you have been able to conquer pride. That is how difficult it is, right? So whatever little activity that you do, if there's any amount of success, you immediately become proud of it. That is why in Krishna consciousness, we always offer it to our spiritual master. Whatever happens, whatever good, I'm doing it as a service and everything is offered to my spiritual master. That should be our bare minimum attitude towards doing things. What this does, you will see that the spiritual master is offering it to Srila Prabhupada is offering it to the Guru Parampara and so on. So everything is offered in the right chain all the way back to the Lord. So you don't worry about the success or failure as long as you've done your work seriously and sincerely. This can be any service that you're doing. Be very clear that you are not the bhokta, you're not the enjoyer of that success. So this will not give you pride, right? So none of these will give you pride if you're able to place it in the right way. The answer is that when the qualities of good education, parentage, beauty, and sufficient wealth are misplaced in a person who is puffed up by these positions, they produce very bad results. Okay. Similarly, milk is a very nice food. When we touch by an envious serpent, it becomes poisonous. These qualities, when they are touched by our pride, they become useless or they become poisonous. That means they pull us down. Although Daksha was qualified by many material assets because he was proud of his possession and because he was envious, all these qualities were polluted and therefore sometimes detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness to possess such material assets. This is a nice point here, right? So it says that if it is causing you, if it's detrimental to your spiritual progress, then actually Lord will take it away from you and be prepared for it. It's actually good if your material designations are taken away and you become serious in Krishna consciousness than the other way around, wherein you get all the material situations, material assets for yourself, but your Krishna consciousness is affected. And you can see there might be many examples that you would have heard. We personally know examples of wherein this person was very curious. He did a lot of higher studies and whatever. Got a very nice promotion. Became started his own company, something like that. Became a very you know a big person in the society. But what the 2 hours, 3 hours that he used to give for Krishna every day, with his chanting and hearing and reading and all that, now became so difficult for him that he was not even to give, not able to give any time for the Lord, right? So it becomes detrimental. And if that is the case, it's better that you are in whatever bare minimum that you require in the material society, so that your Krishna consciousness is full-fledged. Okay, a Kinchana Gochara, one who's easily approached by those who are bereft of material quantities. This is the same shloka that he was mentioning, wherein Kunti Devi actually talks about these 4 things that are detrimental if they are not placed right. Material exhaustion is an advantage for advancement in Krishna consciousness, although if one is conscious of his eternal relationship with the Lord, right? So if you are not materially proud, if you don't have the crores of rupees, this can actually be an advantage in Krishna consciousness because you are fully surrendered, humbly surrendered to the Lord. What am I supposed to be proud of? Okay. But if you're able to use all this in Krishna's service very nicely, then Krishna will give it to you. Krishna will give it to you. He will not. So he took away everything from Dhritarashtra, but he gave everything to Yudhishthira, right? So it's the same family, same situation, same battle. But he knows that if you're not able to use it properly and that is detrimental for you, he will take it away. And similarly, if you're able to use it very nicely, so he will give it to you. In other words, unless one in Krishna conscious, one is in Krishna consciousness, all his material possessions are zero. But when the zero is by the side of the Supreme Lord, one, it at once increases its values. All our qualities are like the zeros. And when you use it in service of the Lord, when Krishna is present there, then it becomes highly valuable. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. He's telling that your father is not going to be very kind to you. Don't go there. Tigers are very kind to their cubs, but it is known sometimes that sometimes they eat them, right? So Lord Shiva is indicating to Sati Devi that your father might be the reason for your death. Sati Devi was advised not to go to her father's house because to accept such a father as a relative and to go to without being properly invited was not suitable. He actually hints at what might happen. Lord Shiva continued, if one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not as aggrieved as when cut by unkind words of a relative. For such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. So whenever we are using words against someone, be extremely careful. If you're going to hurt them, especially in devotee association, sometimes you're not going to be happy. But when you're using unkind words towards them, it might pierce them. One part, it might not be very nice for your spiritual progress as well. And when someone uses very unkind words towards you, okay, please do not take any offense, because if you take an offense, whatever little spiritual progress that you have made, that person's spiritual life might be hampered. We should never become a cause for someone else's spiritual life being affected. So sometimes I see, senior Vaishnavas, they take, if someone says anything wrong about them, tells them, oh, you should have done this, you do so much also you did not know, because of you this has happened. They do not take offense of it. They understand the situation. So we could be in both situations. One, in a position wherein we tell something wrong, please do not do it. Second, someone else is telling something wrong, unkind words towards us, please do not take offense of it. This is also very important. But Lord Shiva reminded her that she would not be able to tolerate such unkind words because natural psychology dictates that although one can suffer harm from an enemy and not mind so much, because pain inflicted by an enemy is natural. So if someone is, he doesn't like you, you don't like him, he says some bad words, oh, I say, yeah, you ignore it. But someone who's very close to you, you consider that person to be a friend of you, a senior of you, or whatever it is. And when they say unkind words and you are not at wrong, then becomes a pretty much more piercing. And here, Srila Prabhupada, so it's intolerable that one can even commit suicide. It can go on because it's going to pierce day and night. So especially devotee relations, so especially between husband, wife, with our children, with our parents. be very careful with the kind of words that you use, because the intention of those words is to hurt them, then it is actually ill placed. You should never do that. My dear white complexioned wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksha, you are the pet. Yet you will not be honored at his house because of your being my wife. Rather, you will be sorry that you are connected with me. So he says you are very dear to you. That's how Daksha also mentions in the previous chapters. You know, he actually mentioned that my such a dear daughter, I had to give it to this Lord Shiva because Brahmaji told me. Right. So that's how he told you. My daughter is very, very dear to me. But now, because you are connected with me, you are not going to be respected and you are going to be very sorry about it. Therefore, Lord Shiva indirectly requested her not to go. So first he told that you should not be going. Now he's indirectly also telling that it's better you don't go. One who is connected by false ego and thus very always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of Lord Shiva's high position as an incarnation of the quality of the supreme personality of Godhead, and because Lord Shiva was directly in contact with the super soul and was therefore honored and given a better sitting place than Daksha. Right. So why was Daksha envious? We discussed it in the beginning, saying that he was not happy with Lord Shiva's position. Are he is my son-in-law, but he's given more respect than me. That created a enviousness. Sometimes there's an expectation, right? So my junior should be respected lesser than me. But as and when my junior progresses a little bit more than me or better than me or becomes equal to me, there is an enviousness that can creep in. This is both materially and also spiritually that can happen. So we should be very careful that these two things do not affect us. Enviousness is a very, very wrong quality, right? So the only quality that we cannot use in the service of the Lord. The position of one whose intelligence is always absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very great and cannot be imitated by anyone, especially an ordinary person. So here, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions that Lord Shiva, when he did not get up and pay respect to Daksha when he came in, because Lord Shiva was meditating on the Supreme Lord. His position was a lot more elevated, and he did not even you know have that knowledge of Lord Shiva or of Daksha coming in there. So we should not try to do that. We should be very always very humble. Anyways, the Lord in Mana Bhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuri, he says, always think of me, become my devotee, surrender unto me. These are some of the qualities that Lord Shiva actually follows. And when you envy such a person, you are asura, you are atheistic. Okay, and the scholars always mention that the devotees of the Lord are very, very pleasing to the Lord. So when you are envious of a devotee of the Lord, you are in a very wrong position. Couple more shlokas, let's wrap it up. My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another, offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the super soul who is sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. So Daksha was expecting respect for himself, but the respect is given to the Paramatma within, and Lord Shiva was actually meditating on the Paramatma, paying full-time obeisances to the Paramatma. To Vasudeva, you'll see it in the next shloka. So for him not getting up and uh, paying respects to Daksha was not at all a disrespect from Lord Shiva. He's just clarifying his position, even though your father is not respecting, but I had my reasons. I'm always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Vasudeva is revealed without any covering. So when you are in the right sangha, when you're in the right association, the Lord reveals himself, right? So it is called revealed knowledge, revealed scriptures. They give you that knowledge. The knowledge is already within us. Similarly, the Lord reveals himself when we do proper things. And Lord Shiva is saying that I was in that consciousness. I did not pay respect to Daksha who was in bodily consciousness. The action of internal potency is also described in this verse, apavritaha, free from any covering, because the personality of Godhead, his name, his form, his qualities and paraphernalia, etc., being transcendental or beyond material nature, it is not possible to understand any one of them with the materialistic senses. When the senses are purified by discharge of pure devotional service, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate, the pure senses can see Krishna without covering. When all our senses are used in the master of the senses, Rishikesha Sevanam. All our Rishikas, all our senses are in service of the master of senses, Rishikesha. Rishikesha, right? So that is called Bhaktir. As confirmed by Lord Chaitanya, by bhakti process beginning from hearing and chanting, one can cleanse the heart and mind, and thus one can clearly see the face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, the whole thing starts by hearing and chanting. Hopefully, many of you have finished up your chanting this morning. If not, when you're chanting, always remember this. Uh, uh, I try to, it's very difficult to, is always remember that the word Hare Krishna, Hare Rama is basically the Lord is on our tongue, right? So you should always remember that I need to chant very, very nicely. Therefore, you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of his envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent. So now Lord Shiva is actually giving his verdict. He says, don't go to see your father. Yes, as father, he is Lord worshipable. In the scriptures, also mentioned that the father is a lot more worshipable because he's given the body than the husband also. But in this case, because of his enviousness, he's not going to respect you, and because of which it's going to be a lot difficult for you. If in spite of this instruction you decide to go neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by your relative, this insult will immediately be equal to death. Lord Shiva kind of tells what is going to happen in the future if she neglects and goes against his words. The future will not be good for you, and it is equal to death. So we know this story, right? So when we take instruction from a senior authority, we may have our own justifications, our own reasons. There's a set of reasons that Sati Devi gave, and Lord Shiva replied back to each of these reasons why it is important for her to actually accept the words of the senior authority, right? So similarly, when we are given instructions by the senior Vaishnavas, by our spiritual masters or the spiritual authorities, we may have our justifications. We can get into discussions, avoiding arguments, but take their words very seriously. Okay, so that's the sum and substance of today's discussion. We know the rest of the story, why or how Dakshayani or Sati Devi actually goes to meet her father and what happens and how she eventually gives up her body. We know that. We'll hear about these in the coming classes. So please do join in. We have a minute or two. If Srihari Prabhu is okay, we can probably take a question, a couple of questions. If anyone has any comments, anything to add, please feel free. Okay, are there any comments or questions? Devotees can unmute or put it on the chat log.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very, very wonderful narration. So thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm very happy that we heard this class. Thank you. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Prabhu. Okay, thank you, everyone. There are no more classes. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. It's a nice weekend. So thank you all for joining in. Hare Krishna. Srimad Grantraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna
Prabhu,
Prabhuji,
for a
for a
wonderful
wonderful
Dandavat
class.
Pranam.
Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat
Thank
Pranam to
you.
everybody
Dandat
assembled.
Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna devotees. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.